Hi, I'm Dr. Stefanie Christian. Welcome back to Tuesdays with Timeless. Today I'm going to talk about one of my new favorite sunscreens. I wear several sunscreens, but this is the one that I now wear as my foundation on days when I don't wear a mask. It's Alastin Hydratint Pro Mineral Broad Spectrum SPF 36. I know that's a mouthful. So we simply refer to it as Alastin Hydratint. This one appeals to me on so many different levels. I just like it for so many different reasons. I like it as a woman. It's elegant, tinted, lightweight. It's all mineral, zinc-based, and it has a lovely glow. Because it's all mineral and it has broad spectrum UVA, UVB coverage with SPF of 36, it's really an ideal everyday sunscreen. It has an almost universal tint to it with no white ghosting. As a scientist, it appeals to me for a number of reasons. We've known for a long time that ultraviolet rays damage the skin. The UVB rays cause burning, the UVA rays cause premature aging, and both of them can cause cancer. We started understanding that UV rays cause problems with the skin back in the 70s. But what we've been understanding more recently is that other elements from light also injure the sun. Think of the spectrum of light. UV is just a small portion of that broad spectrum. Infrared is also on the whole spectrum of light. Infrared light also injures the skin. And this sunscreen has an ingredient that protects us against the damage from infrared light. It also has an ingredient that protects us from the damage caused by pollution. These things are really important. And I could simply mention that and leave it, but I'm going to get a little bit sciencey. We're going to talk about antioxidants and free radicals. I want you to remember one thing from high school chemistry, and that was that oxygen was O2. You remember that. Okay, that's all I want you to remember. Now, the reason oxygen was O2 was because it had electrons that liked to be in pairs. That's it. It had electrons that wanted to be in pairs. Well, there are some bad actors that work to break those two molecules apart. Sometimes it's ultraviolet light. Sometimes it's infrared light. Sometimes it's various types of pollution. Or sometimes it's cigarette smoking. Or sometimes it's processed foods. Are you getting my drift? Well, these various bad actors split those two individual molecules apart, and now we have isolated molecules of oxygen with one single electron. These are unstable, and they are called free radicals. They travel through the body hunting for a partner for that one electron, and they are scavengers, because they don't like having just one electron. So they take electrons. They take them from cells, they take them from proteins, they take them from DNA, and they cause damage doing that. But the body's a pretty amazing thing, and the body has antioxidants, natural antioxidants that counteract the damage caused by this. So normally this is a yin and yang. Some damage from free radicals, some counteraction from the antioxidants. And then you eat some fruits and vegetables, and you get some good sleep, and you have a nice healthy diet with some omega-3s and some good fats. Maybe you eat some extra virgin olive oil, and you make more antioxidants. And so then you're ready for the next damage, and you have some free radicals, and you have enough antioxidants to cover that damage. But what happens if you get a lot of free radicals? Well, you may not have enough antioxidants to fight them, and then you have what's called oxidative stress. And then you get big time damage. You get premature aging, you get degenerative disease, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease, inflammatory diseases. You get autoimmune diseases like diabetes and like adult asthma. And so now you're in trouble. What does it mean on the skin? Well, on the skin, you have a worsening of the kinds of issues that you have from ultraviolet rays. Let's talk about what pollution does. There are a lot of different types of pollution. I won't go into all of that. And most experts agree that what pollution does is it breaks the skin barrier, and you end up with dehydration, a worsening of pigment, and inflammation again, and worsening of things like atopic dermatitis and eczema. And so we don't want that to happen. So what scientists have been doing all along, it's really I think a lot of the research started in Asia because there's been far worse air pollution in Asia, especially in China. But really the air quality in the world has been getting worse year by year, decade by decade. So it is becoming an issue worldwide, and it's becoming enough of a problem here that scientists have been working on this, and they've been adding ingredients, at least in some of the lines. And so there are a lot of different ways that you can counteract this injury from pollution at the skin level. There are some barrier products, there are some detoxification, and yes, there are antioxidants. So in this particular sunscreen, which is a lovely sunscreen, which does the job of UVA and UVB protection and has a nice tint, and it has a beautiful glow, it also blocks the free radicals from infrared light, and it also has an ingredient that blocks pollution. Now, it happens to be an extract from the Arabian desert rose, not that that really is going to mean much for you, it has a fancy Latin name. And in addition to being an antioxidant, it actually induces genes that are both protective and reparative. You are going to hear more and more about pollution damage to the skin. You're going to hear more and more about infrared light damage to the skin. And I wanted you to really understand what free radicals are and what antioxidants do, so that when you hear those words in the future, you're an educated consumer and you can say, oh, I know what that is. So not only does this product have those things, it has also figured out how to be reef safe. Now, for those of you who dive or who dive snorkel, you know that you cannot touch a coral reef. If you touch a coral reef, you will kill that whole segment of coral reef. Simply the skin oils on a human will kill the coral reef. But there are some sunscreens that you can't wear even in the water around a coral reef, or that sunscreen will come off of the skin into the water, and that itself will kill the coral reef. So this sunscreen can be worn in the water around coral reefs. I think there are probably a lot of people who live, in central northeastern Ohio and think, well, what's the big deal about a coral reef, off the coast of Australia? We're all interconnected. The animals and the plants in other ecosystems are vital to our existence. Not only are they vital to the people who live around there for their own ecotourism and their own livelihoods, but the rest of the world depends on it too. And I like this for my patients. Although It was developed for daily use. This is a sunscreen you can use immediately after a lot of procedures. So if you've had a neuromodulator injected or a filler injected, in my practice, anytime in the last 3 months, you had this sunscreen put on your skin. It's oil-free, it's fragrance-free, it's waterproof up to 40 minutes, and it's perfect either as a foundation like what I'm using it as, or under makeup. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment below, and have a great week. Stay well, take care of each other, and I'll see you next week.